In this video, I have a ton of fun talking with 4 great players from North America about the upcoming St. Louis Regional Championship. Talking about the new stuff from Ultra Prism, new decks out of there, how the new cards affect older decks, and what the meta is going to look like for this tournament, what you should play, what you shouldn't play. All that coming right up. Hey, this is Seagrove, and today I'm joined by Peter Joltik, Johnner909, at the Erin Tarbell, and at Allred TCG from different places around the world. So, basically the US, JK. Anyways, we have Peter, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Peter. I play out of New York. I've been playing since about 2014. I was chasing top 16 this year, but a lot of people got a lot of points in Australia, and I'm like over 100 points behind now because I didn't go. So it's kind of unfortunate.
Yep. John, go ahead.
All right, hi, I am John. I am from Maryland, and I've been playing for about 7 years now. I just aged up into Masters this year. I've been doing pretty well. It's debatable whether or not I'm in the top 16 race. I'm 19th right now after Australia. I didn't get to go because I got 17th into the stipends there. Hopefully a good finish at St. Louis will put me back in, and then I might be able to swing Brazil without the stipend because it would be worth it. But yeah, just trying to do well my first year in Masters. Oh, and I'm sponsored by ARG. Yeah.
Hey. Fun fact, I use a camera app called Epic Cam, and I just got a Flipside Gaming ad on there, so that's pretty cool. I don't know how that happened, but anyways, Erin, go ahead.
My name is Erin Tarbell. V wasn't added to my name till I was about 21. I play out of Indiana, and I've made day 2 of World the last 3 years, top 16 once, and I was in the running, and then Australia. So that's it.
Sounds like a theme.
Yeah.
Allred.
Hey, I'm Ryan Allred. I'm from South Carolina, but I'm actually joining you guys from the LAX airport, where I'm on my way back from Australia. I didn't get any points in Australia, but I still ended up in 16th place, so I'm still in the race, going to Brazil in a couple months.
So none of us got points from Australia, alas.
I win. But...
All right, so we're talking about the upcoming St. Louis or Collinsville, which is very close to St. Louis, St. Louis Regional, and there's a new meta, and which it feels like I should say it's finally a new meta because we had Memphis, Australia, London, and there's one other San Jose, are all standard.
Well, San Jose was expanded.
Okay, but there's another standard, I'm pretty sure.
London? Did you already say London?
Yeah, I said London. Okay,
there was
maybe
London, Memphis.
I
don't even know.
Leipzig and Sao Paulo. That's what I was thinking of. Leipzig and Sao Paulo. Anyways, a lot of standard events. And I think I'm glad. I think a lot of people are glad that we're changing the meta finally. But there are actually a lot of deck options coming. So I wanted to start off asking you guys your opinions on those decks. We'll start with sort of the, I don't know. Is that Peter?
No.
Oh, okay. Start with the theme. Sorry, start with the theme of the deck of the set, which is like Cynthia, Garchomp, Lucario, was sort of a deck that they threw at us. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm not a fan.
Okay, why?
I was testing it. I just don't like it. And I don't like its matchups, like especially going into St. Louis. Like I was losing to Buzzwole, Lycanroc, and I feel like people are gonna bring that in. I don't know how many people are gonna copy Tord and play Gardevoir also, which is not fun either. I think later on it'll definitely be good.
Okay.
from my testing at least right now, it's not very good.
Okay. Erin, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's very good and expanded, and if they gave me a Dragon Call Gabite, I would be super into it, but it's just not my deck anymore. I need the Gabite.
What about when the fighting one comes out and expanded? That's gonna be busted, right? The fighting Garchomp. They're reprinting the Garchomp but making it fighting.
Oh, markup?
No, they're just making the dragon one from this set, and the next set's going to be fighting.
They're doing this new thing where they're like reprinting cards like a different type, but it's the same card.
Yep. Because in Expand, I run a Maxie's engine with the Lucario and the other fighting one, so that's cool.
Yeah, and you have Karina.
Yeah.
Peter, already anything to add on that?
Yeah, I don't love it.
Yeah, I haven't tested with the deck myself. I've played against it on PTCGO a couple times. It seems like it struggles to do lots of things. Like they need that what's it called? The stage 1 Lucario guy to like search their deck. They need to attach multiple times. Some people will say, you got the fighting Garchomp, but that one's pretty weak and you can kill it easier.
Yeah.
It's not very beefy. Overall, I think it's like not tier 1, maybe somewhere on tier 2, but it's it's still stage 2 deck, so has inconsistencies to it.
Yeah. Okay, what about the other stage 2 deck? Empoleon has been getting some hype recently.
May I have your attention, please? This is boarding announcement for Please travel aboard the Air Chapter AF69 bound for Paris. Please proceed to gate 1.
Let's go, gate 69.
Is this real life? That wasn't actually on Allred's end. That was Peter Joltik just playing a recording that he has. Allred, what do you think about Empoleon?
I think it should definitely proceed to gate 69 if it wants to catch the flight to Paris.
Facts.
Yeah, same thing as Garchomp, man. I don't love it. You can counter energy, you can Aqua Patch to get around the 2 attachment problem, but to get to stage 2, it's inconsistent. I don't
know. Peter, what are your thoughts on that, on Empoleon?
I think Empoleon's slightly better than Garchomp currently. It has better HP. I think the Empoleon has 160. So it's a very weird number for some decks to hit. Overall, it is slightly inconsistent. Doesn't have a good consistency engine other than like Octillery. But if you can set up and your opponent benches a lot of stuff, you can kill them.
Mm-hmm. John or Erin, anything to add?
More or less it's the same thing. It's a stage 2 deck, so it's pretty inconsistent. I think it takes pretty good matchups. I'm not a huge fan of it, but something I do like that it has over Garchomp is it has Aqua Patch, so like it has somewhat of an energy acceleration. So if like the thing you've been committing to in the active just dies, then it's not it. But
yeah.
But overall, I'm not a huge fan. I think tier 2.
Okay.
Just where it's Garb.
Oh, it also has splash energy, so you can train them whenever they get knocked out, which is nice. But it's not a deck that I've looked into.
Okay. I actually had something meaningful to add and I forgot, so that's about right. So let's go to the next deck. We were talking beforehand about, because Xander just put out an article about Oranguru with the...
No, it's not even Oranguru. It's Cloverfield, like Zoroark GX.
Okay. Cloverfield Zoroark GX. So, John, why don't you talk about that?
So, it plays Missing Clover, and that is a card where you play 4 of it. You take a prize card. It also plays, what's the card called? Where if you take it from your prizes, and then you like take an extra one.
Greedy Dice.
Greedy Dice.
Yeah, it plays that. So, essentially, you just like, you cheat all your prizes. You kill something small every once in a while with Zoroark. Then you Missing Clover, and you just puzzle for Missing Clover, and you just like trade away all your useless cards. And you hope that your opponent isn't playing a real deck, because if they are, you will lose. Yeah. So he plays a bunch of stuff that I think you would play in the deck that just like but he doesn't. I mean, he doesn't play stuff in the deck like Glaceon. So if you prize a dude, then you can't even whatever. He doesn't play Glaceon, so I don't know. Not a huge fan
They're
of
like
that.
4 order pads, though, right?
What
4
does
copies of order pad.
do?
If you're doing a joke deck like that, you need it.
Yeah, I agree.
You flip a coin. If heads, search your deck for an item. Put it in your hand.
All right. I don't think we're going to spend any more time on that unless anyone thinks this has some legitimacy.
I think it has some legitimacy in a league challenge if you want to play some games.
Does it play a Rangaroo to get the stuff back?
It does not play a Rangaroo, and that's
It's-
another one of the things where I was like...
It sounds like he thought of like the 8 worst cards in the game and put them all in one deck.
Okay. And he can't be here tonight to defend himself. So
So how do you get multiple Lucky Clovers off even with puzzle? Like,
You just do it twice, dude, at maximum.
oh, you just do it twice.
I hope there's a greedy die prize. If it's in your hand and it's not prized, you just trade it away.
You hope Greedy Dice is prize, which I believe prizing 1 Greedy Dice when you play 4 is like a 13% chance or something like that.
So
and then you have to.
that's better than your
flip
chances
heads.
of winning. So that's good.
You thin your deck out, and then you play that Pokédex guy that shuffles your prizes.
Oh, Rotom
Dex.
decks.
To put it in the prizes. Yeah.
Well, he does not play Rotom decks either. I will inform you.
Okay.
Damn,
Yeah,
it looks
I
like
don't
we
know.
built his
I'll
deck
tell you
better
this.
than
All
him.
right.
Doesn't even know the monkey guy. You be the monkey guy.
Dude, he doesn't play Gladion, the Monkey Guy, or Rotom decks.
But just so we can discuss this more, Rotom spelled backwards is motor.
Ah. Now it all makes sense. All right, we're moving on before I die. All right. Oh man. Okay, so another one that was sort of an idea that came in together was Necrozma with Dustmane Necrozma with Magnezone. Tarbell, what do you think about Magnezone Necrozma?
So, it's going to win St. Louis. I don't like the deck, but historically, whenever there's been a good Blastoise effect, it's always won St. Louis. It doesn't matter how bad the players are, how bad the decks are. So my list is really, really cool because I don't have one. But if I were to build it, I would take my Blastoise list from 3-4 years ago, and then I would make the cards the exact same thing. They don't have Beach anymore, which sucks, but I just use Mount Kerna instead of Superiors, and then something for consistency. And
Yeah, that's 2 cards you lost.
Get one more card now. It's best deck.
You really think it's the best deck?
No.
Okay. All right. Does anybody think it's very good? Tier 1?
I think the deck is tier 1. It's a slightly worse Bulu, actually.
Oh boy.
But it has a better matchup to Gardevoir, which is Bulu's Autoloss.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you pick and choose what you think you're going to play against. It also loses to Greninja, pretty badly, I would say. So,
I feel like we've scared
I
all
don't
the Greninjas away, especially if I'm not playing it.
I think actually Greninja's a really good play
I
for
do
this
too.
tournament.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, that's all I've heard.
Don't tempt me!
Yeah.
What you mean is don't play Giratina. I understand. Anyone else want to talk about Metagross, Solgaleo? I mean, whatever it is.
Magnezone?
Magnezone.
Yeah, I haven't seen a good list, but I've seen like wildly different lists. So I think if somebody like hits the right list, then the deck can be a lot better than everyone thinks. But for right now, I don't see it happening.
And Dialga is super good in it. Just taking an extra turn, you get 4 prizes potentially in 1 turn.
Dude,
That's
game
sick.
3 for sure.
Yeah.
I think the best point of Dialga is using the GX attack when time is called, because you essentially steal a turn from your opponent, because it does count under 0, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it either gets
nice.
you the win when it would be a tie, or it gets you the tie when it would be a loss.
Correct.
That's pretty cute. I haven't thought about that. For Magnezone and Duskmane, I don't think the deck's very good. I don't like it, in my opinion, but I wouldn't be surprised if it won the tournament.
The best card in the deck is obviously Solgaleo Prism Star. That card is
That card is
nuts.
disgusting.
It's disgusting.
I think it's the best card in the set outside of Cynthia.
I actually
know
think
what
it's
card
I actually think it's way better than Cynthia. I think Cynthia's way overhyped.
I think okay. I think Cynthia's good, but I think after rotation, it's like in everything. But who knows what the next sets hold. So let's go on to the Leafeon with Laurentiis promo.
so good.
Wait, that's a thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. That's the best
Yeah.
Leafeon.
That's
build
the best
for sure.
Leafeon build.
So
It's
what
the
you do-
only good Leafeon build.
This turn 1 you bridge it, and then you Grand Bloom, and then next turn you hit for 170. But you run Turtonators, and then Turtonator beats Metal for you, and then you beat everything.
That was about as convincing as your Solgaleo
No, it's super
Magnezone.
Because you also play Guardian, because you attack Guardian for like 110,
Yeah.
and then they Ice Potion, they hit you for 80, and then you just knock them out with something else.
Wait, so
Wait,
you're
what?
attacking with
You attack with Turtonator.
you're attacking with Leafeon
No, you attack with Turtonator.
with Shell Trap?
Yes. You attack with Shell Trap or DC, and it's bumped up to like 110 damage, and then you have the 80, and then you have consistent damage for 1 attachment, and then you also have Leafeon to finish up knockouts.
Okay.
Does it
So
play
this
fire
is like your
energy?
best case scenario. Everything worked out perfectly.
That's
And
what
you're
the deck
still
does.
like-
You go bridge it and you set up. That's it.
And, like, this is your best case. Everything went perfect, and you're still like, and then you have a decent shot at beating Guardy.
It's more like
my
everything went
best case,
perfect, and then you do 80 damage.
Yeah, my like best case, everything went perfect should be, and then I just demolish them. And then, most of the time I just go 50-50.
But Leafeon is super consistent.
Yeah, I think Guardy is probably a spooky matchup, but I
Wait,
do.
weren't you the one trash talking Leafeon?
Yes, I think it's awful. But it's consistent. But here's the thing, okay? If you go, the only time Leafeon is very good, and I was primarily tested with Decidueye because I love Decidueye, was if I went second and I started Eevee, Grass Energy, either an Ultra Ball, a Lele, or a Bridget, a Float Stone if I didn't start Eevee. Yeah, that's what it had to be. Because if I go first, I can evolve on my second turn anyways, and you can't. It only works on basic Pokemon.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, it only
It
evolves
does?
basic. Yes.
Oh. I'd still rather go first. But...
Yeah, you do. You would rather go first, but it
Because then I can get like 4 evolutions in play instead of 3.
right. But it's just like for Decidueye, it just wasn't good because I'd rather just rare candy at that point if I'm going second,
Yeah.
and then I'm stuck with a Leafeon on the field the whole game.
Yeah.
I feel like in a game where your GX attacks are usually like super ridiculous, this one's pretty underwhelming.
Yeah, I don't love it, but like people talked about a healing version of it or the Laurentiis version. And I think both of those are okay, but if you're doing a healing version, you don't get to heal if you get one shot. So
Necrozma.
yeah, Necrozma. Anyways,
Well, you one-shot Necrozma with Turtonator. It's great. And then
Oh my
if they
God.
attack in Turtonator, you heal off the next turn. You go Guzma, retreat, and then you attack with Leafeon. You heal the 100 off Turtonator.
but here's my issue with that: one Guzma and they knock out a Laurentiis, and then you don't OHKO with Turtonator.
Then you
You
can
get a
do it, it's
Turtonator, a DC, a Choice Band, and 3 Laurentiis, and then you one-shot it. Easy.
Right, and then they
How
take
do you
out
not hit
one. And then they take out one. And that's it. I understand. Yeah, that was facetious, but I don't know. Sorry, I don't like the deck. I don't like Leafeon. I don't think it's that good, but I think that's the best version of it. Is the Laurentiis. So we got something with split opinions. That's good. Let's look at the last big deck, Glaceon. Ah, crap.
Glaceon what?
I don't know. That's a great question. I've been trying to figure that out for a long
I got
time.
this. I got this.
All right.
The absolute definitive version to play Glaceon with, because whenever you talk to someone about Glaceon, they talk about how Alele with the DC beats you. You play Barbarical, and then you play Potowns, and you also play a Devolve engine, right? So you go Evolve turn 1, ability lock your opponent, and then you have Barbarical, and your opponent doesn't play DCs, and they don't play any specials, and then whenever they do, their ability lock with Zoroark, you ability lock the Zoroark, so it's hard to consistently bump the stadium. You play 2 Lucamines to always have a stadium, and then you just have Devolve Engine for all these Stage 2 decks. That's great. And then that's it. It's actually
Say that
super
again,
good.
but, like slower.
Now, Aaron,
Uh,
I don't know you well enough to tell when you're joking or when you're not.
No, Genuinely,
you
this
never
is,
will. That's
this
not
is
a thing
the
you
way to
learn.
play.
Yeah, no,
to
I can never
play
read Aaron. It's
Glaceon.
like amazing. I can never read him.
You play a 3-2-2-2 Barbarical,
Okay.
and then you play Potowns, and
Yeah.
then the only thing you lose to is the Stage 2 Accelerant plus Basic Dex. All the Stage 2 reliant attackers you have devolve for. Anything that runs special energy, you basically lock them out of the game very fast because they have to because they can't rely on Zoroark as much anymore. And then what were the basic decks? Buzzwole. Buzzwole's fine because you turn off the Lycan Rock and then Buzzwoles can't touch the strong energies nearly as much.
Okay.
And then you don't gotta worry about Lele just winning against
How
you.
do you
have to
beat
worry about
Drampa
every
from
other
discarding your energy all the time?
How do you beat what?
Drampa, they can just righteous edge you a million times.
Well, if they righteous, so they're righteous edging DC.
Yeah.
So you attach waters.
You're gonna attach 3 waters.
You run Aqua Patch.
Okay. I mean, it sounds way better than Glaceon Zoroark.
Glaceon Zoroark just doesn't work. I thought it was gonna work, and then I wrote an article about it starting like how I was like, oh, Glaceon Zoroark, I'm gonna test that. That's gonna be good because everything's good with Zoroark, and it just doesn't. It just doesn't. They don't do anything for each other.
Actually, everything is good with Zoroark. You just haven't built it right.
No, that's not how I look at Zoroark. The decks that have done well with Zoroark are Zoroark decks with something else.
Yeah. And Glaceon has to be
Zoroark,
active.
Lycan Rock. And now this Zoroark Guardy deck. It's a Zoroark deck with a Guardy in it. It's not the other way around.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like a
then
Zoroark deck
Barbarical,
with
you run-
Glaceon maybe works, but probably not. Because you need to be active.
What about straight Glaceon?
No.
Not a fan either.
You lose to a Lele and a DC. That's
All
why
right,
you
so
run Barbarical.
Glaceon Barbarical.
And then you run 2 enhanced hammers, so even if they get to play 1 or 2, you just take them away.
Yep.
And
I've played against Glaceon Decidueye online, and it was pretty good.
I've seen some people building that. I have a friend who's building that.
the only reason I'm scared of that is because you get a stage 2 in the deck, which sucks, and then you get you also get to keep Devolve Engine, which is nice in the Decidueye version. But you still lose to just aggressive attachments. Yep.
Okay. All right. The last deck that I want to talk about, and I'll see if you guys have one from Ultra Prism is Dugtrio. Dugtrio's actually gotten some serious hype recently. People are very seriously testing it and saying and a lot of people are saying it's very good. Have any of you all found success with it?
I think if Dugtrio was a basic Pokemon, it would be really good. The problem is you can just ignore the Dugtrio and just kill all the Starmies, and they lose.
But what if they run Ribombi instead?
Then they still lose because they can't recover a million energies from their discard pile.
Well, you can't Guzma Rabombi.
Why not?
Well, it's not a Starmie. You said kill the Starmies. You didn't say anything about Rabombis.
Yeah, but they're not playing 50 energies in their deck.
Not if they run
Man, if
You
you
don't
don't
know
give them
that.
400, it doesn't matter.
I'm trolling you, Peter.
I don't
Okay.
like how Dugtrio has 60 HP.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not think it had 60 for the longest time.
There's too many spread decks where 60 matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got Latios and you have Glaceon. Like,
Yeah, I don't-
Glaceon can actually out-trade it, and that's bad.
I don't think it can actually beat any Buzzwole deck because they can just do 60, snipe 30, and then Guzma 60, kill 2
Yeah.
Dugtrios, and then they just lose.
Sounds about
Yeah.
right.
Well,
So.
what if
I
you
don't
ran
think Buzzwell's
Barbarical?
going anywhere.
And then you have Mount Coronet always in place, so you get the energies back, and then you have Barbarical in place, so that way they're not attaching energies. And then you don't gotta worry about having 60 HP. It's not as good as Glaceon. Glaceon's real. This is
Good
facetious
news.
fun.
Some scientists found a cure for cancer in mice, so I'm hoping that comes to us soon. All right. Anyways, let's move on. If we look,
That was an amazing segue.
thank you. So I wanted to talk about the expected meta pre-Australia, which was sort of Buzzwole Lycanroc doing super well and being the deck to beat and the leader of the pack, I guess you could say. But then this Zoroark with Guardy deck happened. How much does that affect the meta? I'm expecting to see, well, I'm not going to be there, but if I were there, I would expect to see a lot of Zoroark with Gardevoir. Do you think it's going to move well into this new meta? And if so, what does that do to it? John, why don't you start?
I don't know. I kind of disagree, and I don't think that there'll be that much Guardy Zoroark. I don't like its matchups with all the new stuff. Like, anything metal just doesn't do well against. Like, obviously there will be, like, out of, like, what, 1,000 people at this point now, people are gonna, like, copy Tort and be like, okay, cool. They're not Tort. But, yeah, I'm just not, like, a huge fan of the deck.
Don't tell Frank.
Okay. He's the exception. But yeah.
Okay, Ryan, what do you think?
Well, it's kind of weird in Australia. So Buzzwole Lycanroc really was like the deck there. There were, I think, 7 Europeans playing that Zoroark Guardy deck, and like a few other people. They did well with it, and obviously Tord won with it. But really, like Buzzwole Lycanroc was the metagame there. So I don't think Buzzwole's going anywhere. I kind of expect to see some either like Buzzwole Lycanroc or like Buzzwole Garbodor decks do well. Guardy's tougher just because most people found out about it during Australia, so they now have 1 week to build a new deck for a new meta and test it and be ready for the tournament.
Right.
So I don't expect a ton of it.
Okay. Peter, Aaron, any thoughts on that Zoroark Guardy?
Originally, after the Australian internets, I thought I would see a bunch of it. But thinking more about the meta, I actually think it's not very well positioned. I don't think it has a great matchup to Greninja, even though they're playing Tina promo. I don't think it has a great matchup to any of the metal stuff. Its Bulu matchup is pretty like 50-50, I would believe. Like, they need to set up 2 Gardevoirs or they can't win. Yeah, but it's still a consistent Zoroark deck, so you might see a bunch of them. I would expect to, at most, play against 1 during day 1 Swiss.
Yeah, that's fair.
No more than 1.
Also to add to the Greninja matchup thing, I tested that a little bit. If the Greninja player is playing less than 3 E-Hammer, it got pretty rough. At least in my testing.
4 E-Hammers confirmed.
Oh god, no.
Okay. Aaron, any thoughts?
I think a lot of it's gonna show up.
Really?
Yeah, people just like winning decks. Like, it's kind of different with last format. I really like this tournament coming up because it's brand new. There's not been a tournament before it, so we're more likely to see people trying to bridge the gap into older stuff. Like, we haven't had an entire week to prepare for a tournament in this format. And just because we don't have prior results, a lot of people will kind of flock to the deck. And it's good. It's a good deck. It doesn't matter that much if it has bad matchups whenever you just hit the other ones.
Yeah.
That's when I can.
There you go. All right. So let's talk then about Buzzwole Lycanroc. Is it the deck to play for this tournament?
I'm considering it.
It's still good. I don't know that it's phenomenal, but I think it was one of the first or second best deck going into last week. So if it drops a little, it's still going to be good.
Yeah.
I played it before Memphis and I didn't like it. I think it's really well positioned, but I won't play the deck.
Yeah, I think the deck is very linear. A couple of the people that played it in Australia mentioned that it had a very linear game plan, but if you run hot with elixirs, it just beats stuff really fast. I think it will be the most popular deck there, though.
Okay.
Behind any Zoroark variants, actually. After.
Okay. John, since you're the Greninja player,
Oh lord.
what if everyone is hyping Greninja in this new format? What makes it so much better, And is it actually so much better?
I mean, obviously you have Cynthia, which consistency is the main problem with the deck, so Cynthia at least helps with that. You also get a couple cute things like Cyrus, where people are saying Tina promo, are starting to put in Tina promos. You can Cyrus them, and then they're like forced to keep the Tina promo unless they want to get blown up with 2 giant water shurikens. I don't know how I feel about Cyrus, honestly. I mean, I haven't put that much testing into Greninja because I'm kind of like, like waiting for like Portland when everyone takes out Tina promo, like 2 regionals after. But yeah, I definitely think it's good. I wouldn't be too if going into St. Louis, if I were playing Cyrus is good. Thank you, Erin. Okay, Cyrus is good. Okay. But yeah, if I were going into St. Louis playing Greninja, like I wouldn't be too unconfident. I'm aware that I will probably play against like 1 or 2 Tina promos, but maybe more. But you can actually beat some decks that play Tina promo. Like we said before, like Peter said, I've been running pretty okay against Gardevoir's or like Enhanced Tamer is really good. And honestly, some things you can out trade with Greninja that play Tina promo, and some people don't realize that. So yeah, I think it's solid. I'm probably not going to be playing it, shocker, but yeah.
What does Cynthia do? Does it replace Sycamore, or does it come in addition, or just replace a couple Sycamores, or what does it do?
All right, so to start, it replaces Lily. Get Lily out of here. Lily's terrible. It also, I've been testing, the list I've been using doesn't play Skyla anymore. I just took out the 2 Skylas and put in Cynthia and just like all draw. And I haven't really noticed any problems dropping the Skylas. And then also I've put in the 4th Brooklyn Hill in exchange for the Skylas.
Okay.
So I don't sit there with 1 Froakie and die.
That sounds good.
But yeah, that's usually what the structure would look like 4 N, 3 Sycamore, 3 Cynthia, something like that. Something along those lines.
Mm-hmm. John, Erin told me not to tell you this, but Cyrus is good.
Okay. I believe him.
Peter, you were hyping Greninja earlier. What makes it so much better now?
I think it has good matchups. It's always had good matchups, but like I feel like it's like the meta's positioning where those matchups are more prevalent, and it's getting the added consistency of Cynthia. I think the only deck in the format that Cynthia like actually really helps is probably Greninja. So I think we'll see a decent amount of it. But I don't expect anyone to play Tina promo though. That's actually just fake news. No one's playing that card.
Yeah, usually it's a thing with me and my friends that we would talk about Greninja that no one ever actually keeps barely anyone ever actually keeps Tina promo. And then like before every tournament we're like, well, what if this is the tournament that keeps Tina promo? And it's just like heart attack all day.
It's not going to be. Every expanded tournament, all of my friends say that everyone's going to be playing Night March, and I tell them like, you know what, that would be like my favorite day because I like playing the Night March mirror, but it never happens. No one ever plays Night March. There's maybe like a handful of people ever playing it.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Tina promo. Like everyone likes to say they'll play it so that they scare the Greninja players, but they never actually put it in their deck.
It's true.
Except
I've played
Russell,
it a couple times.
I've played it a few times.
I've never actually hit Greninja when I played it.
Yeah, same.
I've never played a game against Greninja with Tina in my deck.
So that feels worth it to me. It's like, hey, I won't hit a Greninja if I play this, so I'm gonna play it.
The only person who actually goes through with playing it is Russell.
That's what I was gonna say. Russ will play it.
Russell is so vocal about it, and I'm just like, just stop talking. Just you and like someone PC play it. Just stop.
That's so funny. All right, then let's talk about Guardy. Well, again, really quick, I wanted to ask you all, do you think Zoroark Guardy or one of the older versions, or which version of Guardy do you think is the best? Because Guardy was hyped for this tournament before we saw Zoroark Guardy.
Why was it hyped?
A lot of people were saying it's really good. It gets a lot better. I'm not sure what made it better. Maybe I think Guardy actually benefits from Cynthia because Guardy was only playing 3 Sycamore because it doesn't like to discard in a stage 2 deck.
I mean, I was playing 4 Sycamore in my Guardy. Like, I don't like going under 4 Sycamore in most decks. But I guess Cynthia's helps it slightly. I still think it's not that much help, you know? Like, you only have so much room for supporters. Like, realistically, you're not going to cut many ends from your decks.
Right.
Like, the only deck that actually hates N is Bulu, because it's a tempo deck, so you usually want to be ahead. All these other decks want to be, like, able to come back in the game, so they need N most of the time, and multiple copies of it, especially against Zoroark in the format where they just trade a million times.
Yeah.
I like Guardy with the new Super Boost energy. I don't like it with Zoroark. So if you don't play the Zoroark version and you rely on the stage 2, Super Boost is kind of cool because it will win you games by itself. And then but Zoroark's cool because it beats the evolved strategies.
Okay.
So Guardy's always good.
Okay. What about
Guardy.
Metagross with Solgaleo or Necrozma?
So I've tested a little bit with that deck. I've heard some others' opinions on that deck. Actually, I was testing it before we got on this call, and like it doesn't seem that great. You struggle to actually attack most of the time, and if there's a deck playing against you, like if you're playing against Magnezone Necrozma, they're just gonna beat your teeth in because you usually need at least 2 Metagross, right? So that you can power up your Necrozma. If they one-shot you, you actually need some way to attach 2 energy at once, or you're using your GX attack, which you can only do once. So like sometimes you just struggle getting the last attachment, and you end up needing 3 Metagross in play. And at that point, why don't you just play Metagross?
Yeah, I don't see how it improves on Metagross Solgaleo, because you need 1 extra Solgaleo compared to, or 1 extra Metagross compared to attacking with Solgaleo.
Yeah.
And at that point, you could just have a Solgaleo instead of an extra Metagross.
Oh, I see.
Oh,
Okay.
and it
Yeah,
loses to
energy.
Greninja. It loses to Greninja.
Oh yeah.
It does. It does lose to
It's
Greninja. I've had a lot of success testing the deck. I haven't really seen a good Necrozma Magnezone list. I would say I haven't lost to it with Magnezone or with Metagross. It's like Metagross sets up. I don't know what it is, but it's setting up very well for me. I think
I don't know what kind of Metagross you're playing, man. Every time I play Metagross, I like try to beacon, and they're just
Yeah.
like, oh, and then I get this shitty
That-
hand.
That's a question I want to ask you. I don't think most people are reducing the number of Ns, but a few decks are going to cut an N or two because of Cynthia. Is that going to increase the power of search attacks?
No, I don't.
Usually, for me, like, what's been getting cut first for Cynthia's has been Sycamores.
Yeah. I think it depends on the deck and depends on the person, but
Yeah, no, that's true also.
I don't think there's any deck in the format besides Bulu that will cut N for Cynthia.
okay, not a single N.
Not a single N. I think you need 4 in like almost every deck.
Okay, is that because Bulu doesn't really play? A lot of Buluists don't play Octillery,
Right.
and they're so aggro. Okay,
Right. It's just a tempo based deck.
okay. So another deck that was obviously the king of the format for quite some time was, well, not actually for that long, was Paw Patrol. What happened? Where's Paw
Wait,
Patrol
what's
go? Michael Vick's backyard.
Airbuds.
What?
Airbuds. Zoroark Lycanroc.
Oh, god damn it!
Happy Paradise.
I don't know. I don't like
I gotta
nicknames.
go. That's
Personal.
Okay, well, what do you think about Aaron? What do you think about Zoroark Lycanroc?
It was the best deck last format, and it's really good. And it won't show up in the numbers it probably should, and it definitely has a chance to win. It struggles against the stage 2 basic decks, Bulu and Metagross, though. Or not Metagross, though.
Necrozma.
I don't think.
Yeah, it's so hard to remember that. I don't know why. Allred, what do you think about it?
It's still good. It just definitely gets worse. All the new decks I think are pretty strong against it. Like yeah, all those stage 1 or stage 2 non-EX, non-GX decks Glaceon kind of struggles because all of your dudes have abilities and then they don't.
Yeah.
Even Guardy Zoroark is a tougher matchup than straight Guardy used to be.
Okay. John, what are your thoughts on Golisopod?
Golisopod Zoroark?
Either Golisopod Zoroark, Golisopod Garb, straight Golisopod, whatever you want to do.
Alright, so Golisopod Zoroark, I'm kind of going to put it in the same boat with Zoroark Lycanroc. It was really good, but like certain things like outclass it at this point. Like a Magnezone that's drawing well is probably going to beat you.
Yeah.
There's no beating that deck if it draws well with any Zoroark variant.
Yeah, that's fair. Golisopod Zoroark is pretty underwhelming. If just play like Guardy Zoroark or Lycanroc Zoroark at that point, I don't see any merit to that. But for Golisopod Garbodor, I don't know enough about the deck. I haven't tested it or even like thought about it at all. Garbodor is obviously really good right now. The consistency of the deck is something that I'm questioning.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm interested to hear what other people think about the deck.
Okay. Golisopod Garb, any thoughts? Peter, you played it, didn't you? A while ago?
Yeah. It's not as good as it was before. Mainly because you don't want to be playing Rainbow Energies, and I think one of the strengths of the deck was being able to play Trash Lanch and damaging your own guys so you can ace roll every time, but like you can't really play Rainbows anymore because you hammers everywhere. So it kind of gets really shafted by that. Yeah. Also, the deck that Azul got second with at Memphis with the 4E hammer, I mean, you could play that, but that's like really inconsistent, I feel.
Yeah, I feel like if you get end of 3 or less, it's over.
Late game ends kill that deck, unfortunately. Erin, what's the best Garb variant for St. Louis?
Garb.
Okay. Espeon Garb actually has done well in my area recently. It's been popping up and having success. What's making it make a comeback? Why is it good again?
The reason it was bad was because Golisopod Zoroark, and now everything that's coming out loses to devolve or is heavily ability reliant, and it just has a good answer to both of those. Guardy's tough, anything with Zoroark's tough, but the rest of the field seems pretty good with it.
Okay.
And you're psychic, so you just confuse Buzzwalls and hit for 120.
Solid. Allred, what's their favorite Garb variant?
Probably Buzz Garb, something like Frank's List.
Okay. John, what's your favorite Garb variant?
Espeon Garbodor. I think that Buzzwole Lycanroc, at least going into this tournament, will be the most popular deck, and that's the biggest, motivation for people to probably play Espeon Garb because it is a phenomenal matchup.
Okay. Peter, favorite Garb deck?
I'll also go with Espeon Garb, but that's just mainly by default because I think it's the best one. I don't think it's that great though. I used to play it a few formats ago, even last year during the season. I just don't think it has many great matchups. I don't besides Buzzwole. What does it actually beat? I don't actually think it beats Bulu because it didn't beat Bulu last year. Bulu doesn't play any more BS Seekers, less items now, so it's just still a tough matchup. I don't see how it beats Guardy many of the times. All the Zoroark decks give it lots of problems too. It just feels like a weird devolve, cheesy type of deck with Garbotoxin.
All right. Then I want you to talk about Bulu, Peter. What do you think about Bulu?
I think Bulu's pretty decent still. You take the hard loss to Gardevoir. I don't think playing any of the Gardevoir attacks like Kukui, Coco, anything that spreads damage, any of the damage modifier cards to try to hit the 230 are worth it because they end up taking too many slots on your deck, making you really inconsistent. The main thing you want to do with Bulu is get the turn 2 Vikavolt and just start pounding your opponent. If you get turned to Vikavolt, your deck just becomes way more consistent. Your deck doesn't have many energies left, so your draws for turn are usually pretty good cards. You can usually get away with playing niche supporters like Guzma instead of having to draw every turn. It's pretty good. I think the Greninja matchup people think is an auto-win. It's not really an auto-win. If Greninja goes first and has a pretty good setup, it's pretty like 50-50, I think.
Yeah.
But if you go first and get a strong charge off, like they just lose. But it's a pretty close matchup if Greninja goes first.
Any other thoughts on Bulu?
Bulu is bad.
I would say don't be a Bulu.
Don't be a Bulu.
I'm gonna be a Bulu this weekend.
Are you?
No.
Oh yeah.
Do it. All right. Are there any decks you guys want to talk about that we haven't touched on yet? Besides Lapras, obviously.
What is Lapras?
Oh, go ahead.
That's my baby. I love Lapras. I'm playing it with like 4 Elixir, 4 Aqua Patch, 12 Water, Dawn Wings to stand in and retreat and reset it. It's like a buzz, but it sacrifices the spread, which is obviously super good for a little bit more speed.
Yeah, I don't think you need the Necrozma to reset it because it's going to get knocked out, so you're fine.
It does sometimes, but...
And then they'll take 4 more prizes, and then you get to shake their hand.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds bad. But what if you play Greedy Dice, then they...
Yeah. You play one of Greedy Dice and just make sure it's in your prizes every time.
Nice.
It's good.
I'm into it. Oh, what if you play Clover? Because then you actually have, like, Attack the Drowse cards.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey.
Oh, we didn't talk about Mill. We need to talk about Mill. There have been so many Mill decks. Sylveon, Quad Wob, or the Wob Break, and Hoopa. Best Mill deck. Anybody?
Sylveon.
Anybody disagree?
Break.
Wob Break.
I think it's the best mill deck is probably, unfortunately, the Wobbuffet Hoopa deck. I don't think it's very good, though.
Yeah.
Like, it's just very annoying if you have, like, certain cards that get around it. Like, if Bulu plays, like, a Mew, you can very easily just start one-shotting them with no discard. Also has free retreat. I mean, I've heard people talk about the new Oranguru that puts 3 on the bottom of your deck. Like, that seems like you just destroy them if you play that card. But that card's also bad, so...
Yeah. No one's playing that card.
Okay, so, but who's going to play that besides Russell because he doesn't want to lose to gimmicks?
I don't know, dude. I mean, for every one Russell, there's one guy who's playing, Wobbuffet Break, so...
I actually don't hate all the, like, Shock Lock decks, like Looker Lock and, like, that Hydreigon Lock.
Oh, you can play Oranguru in the lock decks, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. The ones that play Sableye, I think, are better. So, like, there's one where it's, like, Sableye and Hydreigon and Zoroarks. So the Hydreigon dumps your bench down to just Hydreigon and 2 Zoroarks.
I was wondering what was going on over there in the Tri-City area.
Yeah, and then you can put the Pikachus back down.
Okay.
And use Zoroark to get the cards back, and, like, Brock's Grit. I don't know. If you set it up, it's good, but if you don't, it's bad. So it's usually bad.
True for most decks, yeah. Okay, sounds like we're done talking about Mill. So...
Mill is usually, like, a European thing, traditionally, I feel like. I don't know why. Like,
so
you always see Mill in Xerneas Break too. You always see that in top 32 at European regionals, but never in US for some reason. And people do play these decks here. They're just a lot more people, so they just like a lot more variants, and they just lose.
Just to remind you, Wailord did get second, and that's a few years ago. That's why Mill got him.
Did get robbed from first.
It should have won, actually.
Yeah.
But, that's just a victim of no one knowing how to play against it.
Yeah.
And the judge is never involved.
I played against one. I played against the Wailord at that Nationals, and I was playing Dragon Rayquaza, and I had a pretty good time against it.
Wait, you were playing Dragon Rayquaza?
Yeah.
I definitely know what that does. All right.
It does 300 damage.
Oh, Mega Dragon Rayquaza.
Yeah.
Oh.
I was also playing one copy of the colorless too, because there was Aegislash decks.
That's a good card.
Yeah, dude, it was real good.
Sounds solid.
See, Peter has this thing where he can't do less than 210 damage with his decks. You got Night March, Bulu, and Dragon Rayquaza.
Facts.
Yeah, dude, they have to one shot.
I agree 100%. All right, before this gets derailed too much, let's bring it to an end with before we do shout-outs or whatever. This is the question I always ask. What's the best deck that you will not be playing? The best deck for this tournament that you will not be playing. Peter, go ahead.
Ooh, Greninja.
John.
I don't want to say Greninja because I'm not done with Greninja.
Yeah.
But Greninja.
Yeah, you're gonna play it. Okay, Erin, go ahead.
So I will probably be playing an Evolution with a Lusamine in my deck. But I have 4 choices for those. So
Barbarical.
Barbarical is good. I love Barbarical. So I'm not gonna play Gertie. That's a good deck.
Allred.
Future Trunks.
It is very good. It is very good.
Future Trunks is best deck in format.
Yeah. I'd say Magnezone Necrozma. I think with a good list it can be good, but I've had like a week to test, so I don't have a good list. So.
Okay. I did leave out Fire. We didn't talk about Fire. Is Volcanion back? No, we're good?
No.
Okay. All right. Let's close with shout-outs.
We forgot about Komomomo GX.
I don't even know what that does. All right, Peter, go ahead. Any shout-outs?
Shout-outs to Seagro for having me on this video. Shout-outs to you 3 guys for being in this video with me.
Thank you.
And good luck to everyone in St. Louis.
John.
Shout out to you guys for being in this video and Seagrove for hosting it. Shout out to ARG for sponsoring me. And yeah, good luck to everyone in St. Louis. Don't play Tina Promo.
Please.
Erin.
Shout outs to Team Pokeyoke. It's a new website that's going up. That's a video coaching subscription website. And it's brand new, but they're sponsoring St. Louis, so it's a good time to actually talk about them. Right now it has me, Travis Nunless, Eric Gansman, and Dustin Zerun making videos for the website, but we're going to have more people making content, and the concept is there's 4 weeks in a month, and then you get a 15-minute video from every person that makes videos for the website every week. That's cool. A lot of content, and then it gives people better a lot faster, and you're not just mindlessly reading articles.
That sounds cool.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know about mindlessly reading articles, but that concept sounds really, really, really good, actually. I really like that. All right, go ahead.
All right, shout out to Pro Play Games and Ultra Pro for sponsoring me. And a shout out to the Korean Airways Lounge in LAX for giving me the Wi-Fi, sushi, and drinks to be on this video.
And that classical music in the background.
Super classy. And shout out to all of you for kind of having your video work when I look at it instead of just being frozen.
All right. Thank you guys so much for agreeing to do this. Just today, I started asking, which I'm normally planning way ahead, but I've been crazy here. So thank you so much for that. And shout out to Flipside for letting me write rogue articles for them. It's fun. Good luck to everybody going to St. Louis. And thank you all for showing me what the meta is going to be so I can prepare for Charlotte. Until next time, peace out.